From Swoop, it's Take the Plunge, a podcast about how business owners decided to stop what they were doing and took the plunge to start their own business. We take a look at how they came to that decision and what those first crucial steps were in getting their business set up and running. My name's Kieran, and I'll be your host for this episode. Here's what you can expect on today's episode.
The customer is just someone scrolling through their phone, sees 1,000 ads a day.
Yeah.
So how do you get across the message that you want to get across?
Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Conor Meehan, co-founder of Nú Infusions, who started the company in May 2018 with his childhood friend Fionn. Nú Infusions is Ireland's first guayusa tea company. Guayusa, an Amazonian tea that offers a calmer lift than coffee, more antioxidants than green tea, and a deliciously smooth flavour, as well as being so easy to pronounce. Conor, you're very welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Kieran. You nailed the pronunciation there, so congratulations.
Oh man, I tried.
It's just a bit of practice.
Yeah, a lot of practice. Conor, you're obviously not from the Amazon or Ecuador, so how did you stumble across guayusa?
Yeah, so we came across guayusa, I think it was May 2018, so about 3 years ago now. The way I came across it was actually I have a friend from Ecuador. I've friends with him for a couple of years before, and we were housemates in Lisbon, and then stayed friends. I saw from his Instagram that he'd left his job. He was working in Washington for the World Bank, and I saw he'd left that and had gone to Amazon and was working with these indigenous people there on this tea project. And I didn't really know anything about it. I thought it was really random, really cool. So I was like, wow, what's that? And he was telling me all about it. And so we bought some tea from him, just kind of like to support your friend. I was really curious as well. Yeah. And we got it sent over to Ireland. And then I was living with Fionn at the time, who's an investor in the business as well. And we just started drinking it every morning before work. So we just get up every morning. It kind of became a bit of a ritual, and we just loved it. So we just felt really good from it, because we'd never drank coffee before, really, because we just didn't really affect us that well. And then this was just something we felt very focused on. We'd always be like texting each other during the day, like, oh man, this stuff's really good. Like, where did you get this? What is it? And we'd be researching it then, probably spending too much time in the office researching it. And then slowly over time, then we just started to share it with friends and family. So I started to, my mom started to drink it, some other people in the office started to drink it, a lot of friends started to drink it, and most of the people, almost everyone we gave it to, really liked it. Some people were obviously, they wouldn't leave coffee, but a lot of people were always curious to try it. And we noticed a lot of people switching from coffee to this. And so that kind of got us thinking, well, this is obviously something people are really interested in. And the more we kind of looked into it as well, we go around to cafes in Dublin and we would ask them, do you know what this is? Have you ever heard of guayusa before? And none of them had ever heard of it. So we seemed like literally the only people in Ireland that had heard of this. It's a very new industry. So it's only really exported out of Ecuador since 2010, I think. Before that, it was just within Ecuador. So it's very new.
That same friend, is he still supplying into you guys? Is he still involved in guayusa?
So he actually did end up going back to Washington. So he was kind of half living in Washington, half from the Amazon. I think it was just too much to do both, living in, organize the supply chain from scratch at the Amazon, and then also being based in Washington. So he connected us, though. He knew a lot of people in the industry, which is a very small industry. Amazing. Time. It's only like a handful of companies that are already in it. So he connected us with a supplier there that he knew, and then that kind of got us off and running. And we still have his support. We still talk to him all the time about it, which is really nice as well.
And then when you were kind of getting it up and running within kind of the family friend network and teasing it out amongst cafes rather, when was it like, actually, I think we can start to build a business out from this?
Yeah, I think it was a very slow process in a way, in terms of it was just bit by bit. We kind of we keep drinking it, we keep researching it, and that kind of built momentum on it. We were like, right, there's really a lot of health benefits to it. So we got really excited by that. We could feel the health benefits, so we were kind of just getting really into the product in that way. And I think that enthusiasm just got kind of bigger and bigger. And then we also found out, no one really knew what this was. And that was really exciting to us, because it's just fun, I think, to try and introduce new things to people. We really like that experience.
Absolutely.
Go up to your colleague at work, say, try this, skip your coffee, try this, and I'll come back to you in an hour and see. Yeah. And you'd always get a really positive. So that was done a lot. I think. Yeah, we'd always just tap them on the shoulder, just try this.
Yeah, I must say I'm pretty excited to try it myself. I was kind of having to read the website beforehand and everything. The bit that really connected with me is I don't know what is wrong with me, but caffeine in coffee just affects me in a bad way. Like I get some nasty come downs. Like I
Yeah,
have just like perverse energy for about 45 minutes
yeah,
and then just feel like just not in a good shape for the
oh
next
yeah.
45. So I am I'm pretty keen to give it a go, definitely.
Yeah, no, I had the same thing. Like I could never really drink coffee because of that. And so this was great to discover.
Yeah.
There's some science behind it. It's all about like the adrenal effect that coffee has, and this doesn't have that adrenal effect. So
Uh,
yeah, no, it'll be very interesting. I'm curious to get your. I'm excited for you. I'm curious to get
I
your
will,
feedback.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
yeah.
And then I suppose you've now obviously formulated the business idea at this point. At what point you're like, okay, I'm actually going to stop doing what I was doing in the office or so and go into this on a full-time basis? Like, was that like a daunting proposition to go through?
Yeah, like it was ultimately. I still do some consulting work on the side, so I'd actually started a consulting business before, but that's kind of like a freelance thing. At the time, I was working in a 9 to 5 office job, and leaving that was
Yeah,
definitely quite daunting. All right, I mean, it's you kind of build up to it, but then when you actually have to like send an email to your boss to say, can we have a chat?
yeah,
Whatever, you're always like your heart is definitely. So yeah, it was definitely a bit nerve wracking, but I think it's just one of those things that you kind of if you know it's the right thing to do, then it's not too difficult ultimately.
Talk to me a bit about the kind of the operational side of things, because you mentioned Ecuador is basically the only country producing this. How do you go about like sourcing it, get it in and out of Ireland? Is that a challenging thing? Like what does that kind of operational model look like?
Yeah, I mean, so at the moment it's not too complicated really. We actually work with a wholesaler in France who kind of imports it in bulk and then ships it out, and that makes the kind of
Oh, nice.
paperwork easier and all of that. But now for the next orders, we're going to be sourcing direct from Ecuador, so we have to do a bit more paperwork, which we're really really looking forward to. But
Oh, brilliant.
it's there's a lot of there is logistics to it, but you kind of that was definitely the first kind of year was all of that figuring out the logistics,
Mm,
finding the hardest thing for us was actually finding someone to pack the tea bags, because they're biodegradable tea bags and they need like a specific machine
yeah.
for them. There was no one in Ireland.
Okay.
We had to look around a lot of different places, because also we were a small company at the time, so we couldn't put in these massive orders that you'd need for that a lot of them would be
Yeah.
for. So yeah, to get that started, get up off the ground, that was probably actually the hardest thing. We had to fly around a few different places.
How did you find the packaging center in the end?
In the end, it was through a website. I found like a guy who sold the machines, and then I asked him who he supplies to, basically. So that was actually the
Yeah.
way we found it in the end. Yeah, because it was difficult to. Yeah, there wasn't like somewhere that could do that quantity and at a good quality.
So did you end up buying the machine, or did you kind of outsource
No,
to that guy
yeah, the machine
to do the
they're like
tea?
really really expensive. They're like 100 grand or something. So yeah,
Just okay, right. So
yeah,
Infusions P&L wasn't covering that in 2018.
yeah, yeah.
So essentially at the moment it's France to this guy package it up and then it arrives into you guys.
Yeah, we actually pack the tea bags and the loose leaf here ourselves. So we have a loose leaf products and a tea bag products, and we get all of that
Yeah,
delivered in large stacks, and then we pack them here ourselves. But we are looking to kind of outsource that now as well, because we realize, yeah, that
yeah. So
can take a lot of time as well.
I could imagine, like, at what point in time or how many tea bags does one need to sell before you need to scale that operation out?
Yeah, I mean, you realize pretty quickly. I think you can always underestimate. You're like, yeah, I'll just do it myself. It's fine. I'll do this myself. I'll do that myself.
Yeah,
But I think as it grows, you're kind of like, right. I've got no time then to do these other things which are important, like for the brand, or to even just to go out and go to cafes, and sometimes it's too much of an interruption. So I think
yeah,
yeah, you realize that pretty quickly. It takes longer than you think, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And talk me through kind of making, I suppose, the first sale outside of family and friends. Kind of who was it, or what was it, a cafe, or and kind of talk me through that experience.
Yeah, our first sale I think actually was out in Curb in Fox Rock. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, do you know it?
yeah, I do. Is McCabe is the person behind that,
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
think Sean.
Is
Yeah,
it do they do like yeah they do Middle Eastern
yeah, Middle
type
East.
food?
It's really really good food, really
Yeah,
really nice food. And we actually,
yeah,
it's always. I mean, the first one I think is always connections. I think so. We had met her I think it was her parents or else her like parents' friends on holiday, and they told us about her opening up this cafe. So we sent her the tea, and then when she did open up, I remember, yeah, just went out there one day with someone, tried it, and it was actually much smoother than I thought. I thought, it would be a grueling process, but it was just like, yeah, we like it, we'll buy some, and then that was kind of it. So it was like, okay, it's not too daunting.
Amazing.
If people like it, they want to give it a try. So
In terms of like that, then there's that kind of a kind of a recurring style relationship then for you to kind of have a regular customer then, I suppose.
yeah, like it's great to have those cafes that that when their customers know about it, then that they'll start asking for it. It is a very new product, so it is always a challenge, I think, for people. If they might see it on a menu, but they don't know what it is yet. So that is a challenge, I think, for starting any new product. I think it's always going to be, especially if it's really hard to pronounce as well. So
Yeah.
they don't even know how to ask for it. Like, but I mean, that's a challenge, but it's a lot of the cafes really like it, so they like to promote it, and they like to introduce to people. And we sometimes even, when before COVID we could do tastings in cafes and stuff, that was a really good way to get it out there. That's always the best way, I think, is to just get it in front of someone and have them try it. It kind of removes all of the total mystery. Oh, what is this thing? Or you don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
You just go, here's a cup, just try that. That's definitely the best way.
Has that been a bit of a barrier then for you guys over the last kind of 15 months or so, that you haven't been able to, I suppose, get out in front of people as much as you would like?
It has been a bit, yeah. We try to focus on it. Like, the way I looked at it was, okay, so we can't really do that, which is, yeah, that's unfortunate, but we can focus on the online side of the business. So we can, put a lot of work into that and get that up and running, which will always stand to us even when we can go back into a more retail environment. So
Yeah.
another way I looked at it, so we've basically just worked a lot. We're going to launch a new website now, I think next week. And we've been working a bit to get our product available in different online spaces like Amazon. So yeah, that's kind of the way I looked at it. It's like a good opportunity, because sometimes I think if you take off in retail, it can be hard to then have the time to focus on online. So I was like, okay, let's get online sorted, and then we can, once that's kind of up and running, we can then focus more on retail as well.
And how have you found that aspect to it? Because I can see on the website you've integrated with, say, Shopify to support the payment side of things. Was that all very natural to you, or were you kind of learning that side of the business as you went?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, now it's fairly natural, and I kind of know how it all works, but it does take a while to get used to it. Shopify is really easy, to be honest. So it is actually quite easy to use, and it was simple enough to get that set up. Actually, that was quite straightforward. We're changing it now, actually, to a WooCommerce based website, so hopefully it will stay simple.
And as you were kind of going through that kind of online, kind of building it out over the last kind of 15 months or so, did you kind of experiment around kind of any kind of social media advertising, content strategies, anything like that, to test out against audiences, or kind of what were you guys up to?
Yeah, I think we're starting to maybe look at it a bit more methodically now. We kind of just put out content that we liked ourselves, that we thought would be of interest to people, and then yeah, you would obviously look at what kind of content is doing well, what's not. It's definitely something we're learning. So I didn't have like a marketing background or a digital marketing experience before at all, so it's completely new to me, and that's good. I think it's all right to start from fresh. So it takes us a while to get into it and to learn all those things, and I think that would be one thing we would definitely look to get more experience in, and maybe to would be one of our first hires, maybe to try and have someone who's got experience doing digital marketing and all of that. It's actually it's much more kind of that I originally thought. It's even just creating ad content just to get it as succinctly as possible. That's what we find is difficult. We feel like we have so much to say, but then we find it really hard. Like, you have to appreciate that the customer is just someone scrolling through their phone, sees 1,000 ads a day.
Yeah.
And so how do you get across the message that you want to get across in like with words that are interesting, etc. So that's kind of fun. I like that part of it, but it's a challenge. But it's definitely fun.
Yeah, because have you seen? Because like when I think of like tea as a category, there's so many different more brands than Barry's. When you think of it as a kid, like you've got all the kind of Happy Pigs, Twinings of a million and one different things to choose from. Are there any kind of other tea brands out there you're like, oh, they're doing a pretty good job of making them stand out a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of see ourselves a little bit different to a lot of the kind of brands here. I think there's brands in the US like Guayaki, if you know them. They're a yerba mate brand. They made yerba mate popular basically in the US. And I think it's
Yeah.
like a sort of a different take on tea. So like a lot of the tea brands here, it's all focused around tea is kind of like a cozy thing, or a nice cup in the evening, or Barry's like a really homely kind of thing, which is great, and that's a big part of Irish culture. But we look at this a bit differently, a little bit more of like something that's a bit more energizing, a bit more a bit closer to coffee, and because the caffeine content is closer to coffee, so it's kind of in between tea and coffee, and a little bit something you would drink for work, like for if you want to, if you're studying for a few hours or working on something for a few hours, this is great kind of for that. And that's it's a different message than like tea bigs or Twinings, which is very sort of homely and very different feel to it than that.
And obviously, as a young business, you're wearing lots of different hats and trying to do, as you say, pack tea, market, do some online, do some sampling. How do you yourself and Pyong kind of split roles and responsibilities within the business? And then I suppose second to that, if you could start to bringing in more resource, kind of where would you look to bring people into the business?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of splitting up the roles, I kind of operate the business myself at the moment. So Fion's like more investing in the business. We'd started out with it slightly different, but we figured it's just easier actually sometimes to kind of split it that way, because it's just it just can sometimes be easier to have it more easily defined. It's also very difficult to define roles in the beginning because you literally don't know what you're going to be doing. You think, oh yeah, this is what we'll be doing when we're a business, but then when it's actually up and running, you can be spending time on totally different things than what you anticipated. So, and that's actually worked really well then. And then it's great to have Fionn there as like for support and always for ideas and things like that, always running time. So that works really well. And then in terms of hiring in, I think digital marketing is definitely something that is a real skill to have. And I think it's something we're working on, but I think it would be great to have some assistance with that, whether that's in-house or working with different influencers and things like that. And that would probably be one of the things we'd look to hire in for.
And in terms of kind of funding the business and kind of getting to probably next level of kind of growth rates and things like that, are you looking to kind of take an approach where you kind of slowly build it up, or are you looking to try and get external type funding in to help scale it?
Yeah, we started off entirely self-funded, and then we've got 1 or 2 grants now. But I think there is 1 or 2 opportunities that have arisen recently, which I think we've realised we would need external funding to make those happen. So we've just actually started to think about it only in the last kind of month or 2, really, just because those things arise. I like the idea sometimes to build it slowly and just reinvest the revenues and do it that way. But then I think if opportunities arise that are that can really help you to grow a bit quicker, then I think you can take them. So we'll trying to figure out that world of finance very soon. So it's something I've kind of ignored up until now.
Well, I'm sure the good people of WooCommerce, if they start to see the sales numbers come through your website to a certain point, they'll be knocking on your door telling you, here's a bit more money to stick on.
Yeah,
to stick a few ads down on.
Yeah, exactly. I think there is companies out there that make it very simple now, especially if you have online stores. They can lend.
Yeah.
Based on your sales through the store, it's all very straightforward.
Yeah, because certainly if you're picking up on the Amazon side of things, or if you are starting to generate kind of leads on your social media side of things, you'll definitely be presented with financing opportunities, whether you want to take them or not, to I suppose go faster a bit more if they can start to see the levels go on. They'll be all over your data, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then I suppose in terms of it's been 3 years since kind of the inception of Nú Infusions. Kind of how would you like to see it change and grow over the next year or so?
Yeah, I think over the next year, we would like to be able to go back out there and do a couple of events, because we find that really a great way to get people interested and also to get people's feedback. We're hoping to potentially launch a couple of new blends, some new flavors. We have 3 at the moment. We've been developing kind of over lockdown. Has been a good chance to experiment with those. And also something we have in the back burner is looking at our ready to drink products. So something in like a glass bottle ready to go, and kind of like an alternative to Red Bull. So it'd be like an energy drink version basically of
awesome.
Guayusa, which we think would have really a lot of potential. But it's something we want to kind of do right. So we don't want to rush it. There's different ways to do it. You could go to a co-manufacturer and get them to make you something in bulk that would be, could use a lot of preservatives, things like that. But we're trying to find a way to do it a bit differently to other places. So we're looking at different ways, which takes longer because there's more kind of experimentation. There's more, you're dealing with smaller producers who are maybe more artisanal, but that I think is it's worth the wait in the long term, because we only really want to put out something, I think, if we're really genuinely happy with it, because there's already so many things in the market. So I think unless you have a really unique proposition, then there wouldn't be much point. So we're happy just to wait until that's ready. Whenever it will be, it might be a couple of months, might be a year, might be 2 years, but hopefully not.
Nice. You basically like are kind of a pretty cool band that will only drop their album
Yeah,
once it's artistically
yeah,
perfect.
exactly.
Yeah. New Fusions, too cool for school.
Very cool.
No, I love it. Yeah, Connor, I can't wait to get my hands on some guayusa and sampler, because as I said at the top of the call, yeah, I do not react well to coffee, so very excited to try the product. But it sounds like it's come on so much over the last 3 years, so I'm wishing yourself and Fionn as well, obviously all the best with it.
Mhm.
And I've no doubt you guys you definitely seem to really know what it is that you're looking to create. So you'll no doubt connect with people on that. So I can't wait to see where New Infusion goes. So best of luck with it all, and thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been great.